What is up everyone, welcome to Blue Iguana Studios. I'm Raghav and I'm back with another how to draw video. Today we'll be working on SCYTHER, which is one of the best designed Pokemons in Pokemon history. We will be redesigning it entirely, but still we'll have some elements of the original SCYTHER in it because it still has to look like SCYTHER, right? Okay, so there is an important advice that I wanted to share with you. Always use references when you're redesigning something, okay? Don't just do it from your head. I'm not really telling you to paste a SCYTHER in the background and work on it. That's just for my convenience. I'm telling you to at least paste a small SCYTHER on the top left corner so that you know what you have to do and you don't get lost while you're working. You have a specific goal in your mind, which is very important because I've seen a huge number of artists who are very skilled and do amazing work, but sometimes they don't put a reference at the top when they're working for someone or for a client, and they just tend to go overboard a little. That piece is amazing. Again, these artists have like amazing buckets full of ideas in their heads, and it's just amazing. So what happens is that they tend to go so much overboard. They tend to put in so many of their ideas into the piece that it looks amazing to them, but it's too overwhelming for the person who's a client, okay? Because not all the clients will be artists or will be liking art, but which gets just too much sometimes. Okay, enough blabbering, and I'll tell you what is happening in the drawing right now. What I'm doing is I'm trying to lay some guidelines, just mapping my ideas onto the canvas because I need something to work on, right? And I have like a lot of ideas going in and around my head, just trying to think what will look good, what won't. This is a very important step because this is where you do most of your thinking. This is where you will find that if you find the piece interesting or not, and just get that in your head. This is not the final piece, but this is a step you have to do it, because without this, if you jump to the final outlines directly, it won't be that good because you're thinking twice while you're doing this. I'll just lay all my design ideas real quick and I'll speed this up for you guys, and I'll see you after it. Okay, I laid all the basic ideas down real quick. Now moving on to the final and the last layer of outlines that I'm going to do, and this is where you finally get like real serious because you're going to think really hard about what you don't like and what you're going to change. This is the last chance that you get before you have finalized the outline. You can always go back and do it, but it's better to just think it right now and save time, right? In this part, all you need to do is sit back on a comfortable chair. Just get that posture right, be comfortable, and have that full range of motion. Don't use that wrist motion. Please use the shoulders and your elbow instead of your wrist. Just lock your wrist at one place so that you get those smooth lines and you get that real nice smoothened effect. It makes the drawing look way more professional and way more finished. So when I started working with the face in this like final outline phase of the drawing, and I realized that the face for me wasn't quite striking enough, so I decided to change it completely. This is where the research part of the drawing comes in. When you think you're out of ideas and you don't know what to do next, then you go back to the books. You need to go back to the books or just Google it. For this drawing, SCYTHER is a bug type Pokemon, and I have to research bugs for this. That what are the features that they have, how their body types are, and how the construction of their bodies. What I noticed was every bug, like grasshoppers or locusts, or the bees, for example, have those segmented bodies in them. If you see the snout that I created, the snout that SCYTHER has those segmented things going around the whole head. That really helps. Just go through all the encyclopedias. Like, for example, if you're making a bear, converting a bear into a Pokemon, or just making some different creature about a bear, you need to know what bears are like. You need to know their behavior, you need to know their characteristics, you need to know their features. Only then you can make anything near which is like a bear. Once you have like your inventory full, your information full, then you can apply all that. It seems boring at first, but when you actually open the book and you start imagining your drawing with those extra things that you're studying in the book, then it suddenly becomes interesting. Just that 5 minute phase that you have to cross, that it's boring and I don't want to do it, I'll make it from my head. But you need references, you need inspirations. That's what I use encyclopedias for, that's what I use Google for. Trust me, it helps a lot. Okay, so here I'm reaching the final stages of my final drawing phase that I was talking about, and I'm just finishing this left leg. What I wanted you to do now is pay close attention to how I'll be converting the left leg into the right leg. I duplicated the left leg layer and I mirrored it. Now I'm approximately judging where the knee should be in the left leg, and I cut that layer from there with the help of a lasso tool and pasted the lower leg on a different layer. He is standing, now this leg is in air because he is in an attacking position and one leg is like raised up, which is the right leg. I placed it in a way that it doesn't look odd and it fits perfectly. To achieve this, you have to practice angles on paper first. You might get it right. If you're a beginner, you might get it right sometimes, but you won't actually understand how the angles work if you have not done the practice and if you have not done the hard work in trying to understand the angles. That is very important for everyone to study, and traditional drawing skills will always come in handy in digital, but it's very hard to go from digital to traditional. So I recommend you to practice traditional first when you're working with angles, and when you're working with color, then you can come to digital and it just becomes a lot easier. So I'm starting with coloring. I'll explain you how I did like the first part of the drawing, how I colored it, then I'll speed it up for you guys because it becomes repetitive and it'll become boring and annoying for you guys to see. There is one basic rule that I follow for shading, that is the 3 shade rule. You have to at least do 3 shades. There is a mid-tone, a dark tone and a light tone. So these 3 shades are the minimum requirements for a good shaded piece. Please try to follow this rule, and of course you can go above, put as many shades as possible till it looks good. Then I'm using the blender tool. I don't recommend the blender tool a lot because lately I've realized that it smudges the drawing a little too much, and I'm also trying to work on avoiding it a little, but it has become a habit of using a blender tool, which I am trying to avoid, and I won't be using it that much in my future drawings. So avoid overusing of blender tool because it'll get that sharpness of the drawing from it and it'll just look all over the place. I'll do a comparison video of this in future and just show everyone what the difference is in shading when you're using the blender tool and when you're not using the blender tool. So I have like a little reference on the top left of the SCYTHER because you don't want to drift away from the color scheme too much, and you can use a color picker tool to actually select color from that SCYTHER and use it as the base color, like the mid-tone of the shading, and you can add the darker and lighter tones to give it more depth. If you have noticed, the Pokemon usually have only 2 shades because they are made simple for animation and it's for kids, so they look more cartoony that way, and we are working on a more badass and more realistic and detailed version of SCYTHER, so we have to use a lot of shades, we have to give it hyper detail and make it awesome. So now that I have shown you, it's all the way I have colored the leg by using the 3 shade rule. I will use the 3 shade rule all over the drawing. At this point, you may color the whole thing with the lightest shade, and then you can just go on shading the whole piece as one also. But because I'm working in layers, I like to complete a part of the piece and then jump onto it. It's not a fixed rule, and sometimes even I don't follow it. Sometimes I like to just shade it all in like one color. If I want to place green, then I'll shade all the greens in the drawing, but you don't have to do it specifically. I'm not doing it this one. I'm picking up specific pieces because I have a proper color scheme ready in my mind, and I can just use those colors, and with the color picker tool you can't really make a mistake with the colors. So I'll just do that. I'll speed paint this process and I'll see you after coloring. Okay, so I'm more or less done with painting the body, and all that is left are the wings. So when I started thinking about wings, I had a lot of ideas, but I wasn't sure what to actually do with them. So I again went back to the old nice encyclopedia and saw a bunch of insect wings there, a bunch of insects, and there was a moth that I really liked. I thought I'll just use the design of the wings of that moth because it looked really nice and it really appealed to me. I still use those overlapping wings that SCYTHER has. I think that's a great concept. Most of the bugs are having wings like that, which are actually overlapping, like the lower wing is beneath the upper wing. I retained that thing from the original SCYTHER. Again, I'm using the deformation tool so that I can actually get a position that I'm really happy with, that I really like, and just to find what looks right and what doesn't. So this is the position I really like, this is the size that worked for me. So I again duplicated the layer and mirrored it and used the deformation tool to actually set it in place. So using the deformation tool will take you a lot of practice and just studying the angles and just trying to get everything right. It'll take time, but eventually you'll get there and you'll develop a habit of judging things, just looking it for yourself, that if it looks nice or if it doesn't. So it's just a matter of practice. You just have to do it every day. Like, you have to practice art religiously every single day. Do it for like 1 hour, even if it's 1 hour, that matters a lot. Just every single day you have to religiously do it. You'll get there. You'll just start developing your own style. You'll start thinking in a different direction. And so I'm again using the 3 shade rule here on the wings, and I'm using the same color that SCYTHER has on his wings, just in a more gradient manner. To achieve that gradient, I'll be using blender brush. Now this is a place where you should use blender brush because you need that soft and vibrant travel of colors, like from darker to light, dark tones to light tones. It looks really good like that. So please don't hesitate to use blender tool in situations like this. So yeah, just putting that green at the top of the wing, putting it there like very quickly. So I'll just put in a little effects here and there and get those little small details done, get all the highlights done. I'll also be doing some work on the wings. If some of you have seen my Charizard video, he had those torn wings. So I will be giving SCYTHER also torn and rugged wings because it just looks cooler and I really like that idea. So it makes him look like post-apocalyptic elder type of Pokemon, which I've like experienced a lot. I'll just put in these small tweaks and I'll see you at the end of the video. is guys, SCYTHER made awesome. I had a really fun time doing this video, and if you had a fun time watching it too, please hit that like button and subscribe for more, helps me a ton. If you want me to do a Pokemon of your choice, please use that comment section below and comment whichever Pokemon you want. I'll try to do as many as I can. For instant updates about my work, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. The links are there in the description below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.